Thanks everyone for being here. This is me. I think most people here actually do know me. I just wanted to quickly introduce myself. I'm also a VR designer, VR enthusiast, and community builder, basically since the Rift DK1 was released. And I'm hosting these meetups because of, and I should skip slowly, I'm sorry. This is a multimedia console because Altspace actually removed all browser integration, which is kind of sad, but this is what we have for now. So I'm part of Women in Immersive Technologies, and we are a European community. We started as a Facebook group, and we had in our regular Altspace meetups always mainly participants from Europe. So we were really looking to go a bit more international, connect over borders, and really foster international exchange with a meetup series that is bringing together people from Europe, but also from North America and especially Canada. And I am not alone at Women in Immersive Technologies. I quickly want to introduce my co-founders that are also all in the room. First of all, Lynn over here. She's a co-founder of Women in Immersive Tech, but she's also the founder and CEO of LucidWeb, which is a white label solution platform for web VR, 360, VR, AR. And she can also tell you more about that in the networking part. We also have Vera Grablechner in our group. You basically probably read from her because she is doing social media, and all these last nice posts that you read were probably mainly from her. And then we have Joanna. Joanna, I'm calling her a Wonder Woman because she's juggling so many different things all at once. It would be way too long to talk about all of them here, but she's also helping with the technical moderation, and if anything should happen during the event and I should be unresponsive, you can also always come to her. She knows all the ins and outs of Altspace and everything. And then I want to mention our amazing partners, because without these partners, we probably wouldn't have this event running. So they really helped making it a success. And I'm really super stoked to also announce a new partner, Gamerella, that joined forces with us for this edition. And we dedicated this back corner to Gamerella. It is an inclusive game jam, and also the founder, Gina Hara, is here and will later tell you a little bit more about Gamerella and her work she's doing in this space. And so we are first going to get the chance to listen to an introduction to this event by Ahn Mur, before we then gonna hand over to the presentations of our two speakers today, Ioulia Isserlis and Gina Hara. And thanks everyone and all the guests and all the speakers. Thanks everyone for being here and using this opportunity to connect in these difficult times. We already noticed it before, like handshakes are actually possible. And I'm really stoked that this is a possibility we can use when we otherwise cannot connect as well. All right. And then I also actually want to give the word to Tatiana. Tatiana is the program curator at the Goethe-Institut Montreal and the person I'm co-organizing this initiative together with. Tatiana, once again, a really big thank you to you for making all of this happen. And thank you so much for all your enthusiasm and your constant support and your structured approach throughout the last months. Really, basically, since I walked into your office in Montreal, just before COVID hit, and the offices were all closed down. And right now, we are actually again at the point where Montreal is facing a complete lockdown due to the pandemic. And I very much hope you and all of the people there are staying safe. But yeah, I really want to thank you most of all for taking the risk and making this experiment with us. using this cutting edge technology to connect over borders and actually enable exchange in these difficult times. So, Tatjana, the stage is yours.
Perfect. 1 minute. I'm joining from a PC, so it's like it's a bit not that user experience way weird.
That's fine.
Yeah, so
you're doing a good job.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Sarah. So yes, I can just say thank you to you, Sarah, to setting up like the room like last time. It's really wonderful, and I really want to say welcome and thank you all for joining the second meetup for women in immersive tech in Allspace VR. As Sarah said, I'm a program curator at the Goethe-Institut, and yes, I'm really happy that we finally get to meet here again after a successful launch in June and encountering some serious technical issues with the platform in September, where this event was initially planned to happen. So yes, I think we are all like living in a world where constant change is it's really something we have to deal with, and we are doing quite all right, I think. So as Sarah said, this event is part of a meetup series, and it fits quite well with our mandate, because as a cultural organization, we strive to offer platforms for exchange and connection such as this one, and fostering international cultural dialogue between Germany and Canada is an essential part of our mission at the German Cultural Institute. And especially, as you mentioned, Sarah, in those times like these, where we are all experiencing a global crisis that has caused our governments to issue very strict measures to keep us safe and healthy, resulting in this huge social experiment where we have to keep our physical distances from each other. And I just read an article yesterday by Kathy Hackl about social VR and its possibilities, and I really like that sentence. She says, spatial presence, the feeling of being there in a virtual space, can unlock doors to social experience and give people a sense of belonging and fulfillment in a world changed by a pandemic that keeps many physically apart. So yes, she speaks about the possibilities of social VR, and I think that by opening this space here, we really like to offer inspiring women working in the creative industries and around immersive technologies a platform to create sustainable transatlantic connections. But essentially, we'd like to bring people together and create an inspiring and fulfilling experience for all participants. And so thanks a lot, Sarah, for all this, and thanks for you to be here, and back to you, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you, Tatjana. And next up, the actual introduction to the event is Ahn. And Ahn Mur researches how visual spatial stimuli in VR influence memory at the University of Waterloo. And she is a former sci-fi set designer on Star Trek and The Expanse. She's also a cognitive neuroscience MA candidate at the University of Waterloo in collaboration with the Goethe-Institut. Thank you for setting the stage for our meetup, and take it away, Ahn.
Hi, I guess next slide.
Yep.
I'm here today to talk in light of the theme of women in games about how I never used to think that I was a gamer, which is perhaps counterintuitive, but that realization was really big for me because I grew up in a world where gamers were people who played first-person shooters. And to be fair, first-person shooters are fun, and I really am amazed by how many people enjoy them, especially women. But it was big for me when I joined the gaming community and realized that gaming means a lot more than first-person shooters, and that the experience that women like myself can bring to the table is actually really valid. So when I started having those conversations, I realized that I did grow up with gaming. And so we can mingle about this after the presentations, but on the window wall, you'll see a number of nostalgic game images. I've got images from Neopets, Roller Coaster Tycoon, Harry Potter, The Sims. I know there were a lot of other great examples from that era, but the day that I realized that my experience playing those games definitely counted as gaming and being a gamer was the day that I realized there was a place for me in this community after all. And even for the people who didn't have the internet or easy access to it, the games you played outside of the digital world, those elaborate scavenger hunts I planned with scouting, those costume plays I did with school, those are all considered valid contributions to gaming and really important experience to bring to the table. So I'm here to talk to you today about how that realization made a big impact to my career and how that was a big part of why I joined DMG. So if we go to the next slide, I can talk to you about how great DMG is because they understand that. They understand how women, non-binary, other underrepresented minorities often don't have the stereotypical gamer experience, but that doesn't mean that they don't have something really important to contribute to gaming, and that even if they don't think they're interested in gaming, they actually are. I've come to realize that gaming is a lot like reading in that if you don't think if you think that you don't like gaming, it just means you haven't found the right game yet. Because it is actually so expansive and magical. And I came to DMG, which is a community aiming to support these underrepresented minorities in the gaming industry. I came to them wanting to make art, and they were super supportive. They didn't other me for not having ever played a game. They didn't make fun of me when I didn't get a reference. They were just so supportive and understood where I was coming from and took me from a place where I had never heard of a game engine before to making my own VR experience. They've been doing that since 2012, and they've been doing that in an inclusive and welcoming way. And I think these kinds of communities, both here in Toronto and elsewhere in the world, are really important. And so in that sense, I'm setting the stage to talk about Gamerella later. But for now, we're going to move to the next slide. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experience with them. So in 2017, I started participating in a program called FPS 90 SBF. And it was a summer VR intensive where I came in knowing nothing. I originally tried VR for the first time in 2015 in San Francisco on the program Tiltbrush. Anybody know Tiltbrush? It's a very, very popular program in the immersive community. But after trying that, I knew I needed to be a part of VR, but I didn't know what to do or how. When I made my way to Toronto and I joined DMG, they had the resources, the support, the programs, the mentorship to make that possible. And it has made a huge impact. Now in 2020, I'm having the opportunity to revisit this experience called Built to Fail. And we're rebuilding it with hand tracking, which has been a lot of fun to revisit the original project and see how far I've come. And especially because I, in that process, realized that all of these things that I'd always been interested in before gaming, art, psychology, architecture, poetry, literature, storytelling, cinema, all of those things are actually so important to gaming as well. And going through this project with DMG was the real turning point for me in that. And if we move to the next slide, we can talk about how I then took that back into my career in the film industry where I was working in science fiction. So everything I learned in game design was very helpful as far as visualization, 3D modeling. We did some really exciting things and continue to do exciting things on the expansion Star Trek for visualizing our sets in VR. We'll have cinematographers and directors come in and plan out their shots in VR, and it's hugely helpful. And it is actually reaching the point where we're using virtual production techniques as the actual footage for film as well. There's been a lot of advances in that. And I could go on about that, and we could talk about that afterwards. But my point is, my gaming skills contributed to the industry outside of games. And I actually think that can be two-directional, where your experience outside of games contributes to your skill set as a game designer, but your skill sets as a game designer also influence the outside world. It's not just film, it's not just cinema, although we will go over those examples today in other presentations, but immersive technology is going to be huge, and it's important for women to bring their diverse skill sets into this industry, regardless of whether or not they originally thought of themselves as gamers. So next slide. Yes, there we go. I wanted to open the stage for Gina and Ioulia, who are going to talk more about that beautiful coalescence of outside industries and gaming, and what beautiful artistic, architectural, cinematic experiences we can create with that, and how these communities like DMG and Gamerella make that possible. So without further ado, I will open the stage for Ioulia.
Thank you so much. I have a quick intro for you, Ioulia.
Cool.
So just so everyone knows, because Ioulia has a very exciting role in the VR industry, I find. She's the co-founder and CEO of AnotherWorldVR and produces VR experiences for clients such as Microsoft, Siemens, and Telecom. She is a Berlin-based VR producer, director, and writer. That's why I actually also see her every now and then, because usually I was also based in Berlin. She's also the co-producer of Bystanding VR, which is a Canadian-German Israeli co-production that was funded by the Medium Board Berlin, Brandenburg, and the Canada Media Fund. So I think this is a very exciting constellation that is especially interesting for our meetup here. And I'm really looking forward to hear about her work. And yeah, Ioulia, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. All right. So hi, first of all, I'm Ioulia. I thought like I'm actually like also since 2015 I'm in virtual reality. Before that, I was a filmmaker, producer, director, did post, everything like that. And for me, the biggest dream was to enter the screen and basically become the protagonist of film universe. And VR, just like the minute that I saw VR, put the headset on, I knew like this is going to be, that's exactly the medium where it's going to happen. Also, before I thought it was just like interesting, and that you like spoke about your gaming experience. Like, first of all, I have a DMG T-shirt in Berlin. I bought it in Montreal, so I represent you here. I actually like was always a gamer too. Like, also like my parents didn't really know like what games were back in the day. So when I was 7, I was playing Doom. I think they know by now, but that was fun to play Doom with 7 and Mortal Kombat and everything like that. But and this experiences in film, I studied film and being a gamer, basically were a perfect combination to write, direct, and produce in VR. So next slide, please. So from AnotherWorldVR, our most known projects are the game Cobalt. It was released on Halloween 2018. And it's a horror game that is a sequel to completely like flatty short film. So we shot a short film with an open ending. And then you can put on the headset and immerse into the world that you saw on the screen before and decide how the storyline ends. So Cobalt was pretty successful in the indie gaming community. We premiered at Venice in 2018, and then Cobalt traveled to Cannes, to Busan, to Adelaide, to Festival du Nouveau Cinéma in Montreal, and it was named the top by Forbes. It was named as top 5 VR horror games that were released so far. And yeah, let's watch the trailer. So first you see here images from the film. And out to the VR. So we scanned the whole set where we filmed. We scanned the entire house where we filmed the movie, and we also scanned all the actors that appeared in the movie, like to make the immersion into the film universe as immersive as possible and realistic as possible. no, we missed the screen. Oh no. So basically, oh yeah, coming soon. That's an old trailer, sorry. So basically, Cobalt, like we did it, I produced it and co-wrote Cobalt, and we did the game with a very, very small team. We were like 4 to 5 people. It took us 1.5 years, and we're very, very proud of what we achieved there. And our second game, Pig and Peak VR, came out exactly a year ago on Halloween 2019. Pig and Peak VR has also a connection to film, to the flat screen. It is the game for the German Sky series Pig and Peak by Wiedemann Berg. You probably know this production company from the Netflix series Dark. They did Dark and Lives of Others. So they also did Pig and Peak. It was released all across Europe, but I'm not sure if it was ever released in North America. And basically, Wiedemann Berg really loved Cobalt, and we started talking, and they basically asked us, guys, can you write a narrative that takes place in the same universe as the series, and basically like do a sub-narrative to the series in VR. And we were given complete freedom in this project. I just had to send my script, which they okayed, and then we could develop. So Pig and Peak VR I directed, wrote, and produced. And it was a crazy ride because we only had 11 months to produce the whole game. Like the gameplay is about an hour to 2 hours. And let's watch the trailer. Next slide, please. So here again, we went down to Bavaria and Austria, to the border between Bavaria and Austria, and we scanned this alpine cabin. It's not the cabin where the actual series takes place, but it's the same area. And here, basically, in the game, it's a horror escape room game where you find yourself captured by the so-called Krampus killer. And you have to escape the cabin, and then once you're outside, you have to escape this crazed killer and his cult members. There are obviously a lot of traps and riddles to solve. So yeah, for Pig and Peak, we also developed a multiplayer version that was supposed to premiere at this year's South by, but as we know, South by was canceled. So right now we basically post the production on the multiplayer until the situation with Corona is safe again, because it's a location-based multiplayer, not online. And yes, so our next project, like as you see, there is a common topic here a little bit with horror. Our next project, Vortex, I cannot show you any pictures yet because we keep it a little secret until June. It's going to be a game that is not horror this time, but in this game, it has basically, it's rather an adventure VR game with some shooting sequences. It's a game where you literally go into the silver screen and enter the film noir world, the silent movie era, and schlocky sci-fi 60s world. And in May, we're going to release the first trailer, and I definitely, I'm looking forward to tell you guys more about this game, but for now, I have to keep quiet. And our project, which is interesting for Canada, this is our first co-production that we did with Kung Fu. This is a Montreal-based company, and Atudot, a company in Israel. This experience is a social awareness experience, which deals with the bystander effect. So basically, bystander effect is in case something terrible happens, like a car accident, and there are a lot of bystanders. The more bystanders there are to watch it, the less the likelihood that they're actually going to help. It's a very scary phenomenon, a psychological phenomenon that we show in this experience. So basically, we show an event that actually happened 10 years ago in Israel, where kayak champion Jasmine Weingold had an accident in her kayak and almost drowned, and she was underwater for 5 minutes, and there were 12 bystanders in the area, and nobody helped, and they needed 5 minutes to help. And we basically scanned the environment where this accident happened, and we also interviewed the bystanders that were there 10 years ago and asked them for the reasons why they didn't help in the first 5 minutes. And it's basically an educational experience to know about the effect and to hopefully prevent the effects from happening if you are in this situation. And yeah, this production was finished this year. We're right now like in the middle of planning and organizing when we're going to release Corona-wise and which film festivals and so on and so forth. So next slide, please. We can actually skip over. That's my bragging slide of the festivals that we showed
Awesome
our
slides.
experiences.
Awesome. Come on.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you can definitely be proud of that. We are such a new industry, and I think it's just good for everyone to see what you achieved.
Thanks. And here is just a slide about how important the gaming community is, also for VR. Both of our games are available on Steam, Oculus Store, and Viveport. And it's basically VR gaming is exactly the same as traditional gaming. Like, it's incredibly important to talk to the gaming community, to constantly give support, have support, like 3 different support emails if somebody writes to how important it is to answer, how important it is to have updates. By the way, this month there's going to be a Pig and Peak VR, major Pig and Peak VR update where much more horror, much more scares are going to be added to the game. Because the Krampus killer is not going to be alone anymore, but he has an incredibly creepy gang of his cult followers. And it's basically like this experience for us was very interesting to be part of traditional film festivals and the gaming community like Steam, and how different these 2 communities are, and how interesting it is to be right in the middle of the 2. Next slide, please. And yeah, as AnotherWorldVR, we do a lot of B2B work. We work together with Siemens, Microsoft, TDF, and we do Deutsche Bahn, which is the German railway, and basically like we apply all of our workflows that we use for our games. We also apply for things like industrial applications. For instance, right now we're partnering together with all the people who are from Germany, maybe know them, Absolute Beginner. This is a hip hop band, and we right now cooperate with them together, and we're building a club VR platform. So basically, we're going to build clubs and DJ platform where you can celebrate in VR. So basically, alt space, but the edgy Berlin way. So next slide, please.
Can we have a meetup there at one point?
Yeah, of course. I would love to. We would love to. We definitely love to. And yes, this is one of my almost last slides, is that we're very excited about tech. Also, like for us, number one is always content. But with VR, tech is so incredibly important, and their innovation like twice a year, 3 times a year. And as I already mentioned, we use a lot of photogrammetry. We also work with volumetric studios a lot, like try out all the borders and limits of mobile VR at the same time as tailored VR when it comes to photogrammetry and volumetric characters at the same time. And yes, so I think I'm done. Like on the next slide, you'll see my partner in crime. Second. Oops.
It takes a while to load. You're so amazing. It takes a while for this presentation.
Exactly.
To get you up there.
Exactly. Exactly. That's my co-founder Max Zecker, which is funnily his dad was the head of Goethe-Institut in Munich, Berlin, Lyon, San Francisco, and Hong Kong and London. So you guys might know him. He retired, I think, around 5 years ago. And yeah, he's my co-founder and partner in crime. And we founded the company 2016 and are very excited to still be in the space. Thank you.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Thank you so much, Ioulia. That was really, really insightful, very impressive. Every time, again, I have to think of like this VR meetup, I think in like 2015 or something, or 2016, where you showed your first prototype of Cobalt VR at the Berlin VR meetup. And I was scared to death already there. Like, I cannot play any of your games. I'm just like, oh my God. I'm way too like in there. Way too scared away, but it was very, very cool to hear about your work. And I would also open it up to questions. If anyone here has some questions to Ioulia, now is the chance to grab her so that everyone can hear it. Otherwise, there would also be time and space after the next presentation, but feel free to ask if you want to ask right now. No? All right. I hope she's going to stick around a while longer.
I'll stick around.
Okay. Yeah, that would be perfect if you just stick around a little while longer. And then as the next speaker, we have Gina. There we go. And Gina is also here, I see. Perfect.
Hello.
So, yeah, we are really very happy to have Gina Hara joining us. First of all, as an event partner with Gamerella. Gina is also the creative director of the Technoculture Art and Games Research Center of the Concordia University. And she is a filmmaker and artist and is going to give us some insight into her work. And really, I have to say it again, thanks, Gina, really for going above and beyond to fix technical difficulties and your schedule so you actually can be here with us today in VR. And the stage is yours.
Well, thank you. Can everyone hear me? Is it good?
Yeah.
Okay, good. It's like learning to control new limbs and, and new things. But yes, I am here looking exactly like the photo up there, right? I worked a lot on my hair and my glasses to match more or less what I actually look like. So yeah, thank you everyone for having me. As Sarah said, I'm a filmmaker and artist. I'm currently logging in from Montreal, Canada, where I live and work. But I'm actually originally from Hungary, where I also studied intermediate art in Budapest, as well as London. And then I studied film production here in Montreal. And I've been like extremely fortunate to have worked in a variety of media, from film, video, new media, gaming, and design. And sometimes today I'll talk a bit about my practice that often inadvertently coincides with activism, as well as Gamerella, an event series and community that I co-founded in 2013. Let's go to the next slide. So let's start with the filmmaking. My first feature-length film was a documentary about geek culture titled Geek Girls. This is Anita Sengupta here, NASA rocket scientist. She's one of the characters in the movie. The way this thing came about is that after making a bunch of short films before this one, I got really fed up with the discrimination that I experienced as a woman filmmaker. And it somehow became unavoidable for me to talk about that experience. And so the subject of the film really became feminism, but exploring it all within geek culture, gaming, technology, and fandom. And I did so because I've never really had I've never really been involved professionally with the games industry. So I felt that I had this relative distance, which somehow made it easier for me to objectively and analytically convey the inequality in there compared to the film industry. Although I've always been a nerd, I kind of blame my parents for becoming a filmmaker because instead of a game designer. They just wouldn't let me play any video games growing up. And so all I could do is read walkthroughs. Now, I'm not sure if anyone here remembers, thank you, what walkthroughs are, but basically in the 90s, game magazines would like publish these long texts describing what goes on in a game, what happens if you turn left, do X, Y, Z. And so through like reading these sort of scripts is how I experienced gaming. And I think that is why I became a nerdy filmmaker. But honestly, there has always been a parallel for me between the gaming world and the film industry. And so around the same time I made Geek Girls, I also started an initiative for women and marginalized people in Montreal called Women Filmmaker Society that aims to support inclusivity in the film industry as well as to provide education and mentorship opportunities. Next one. So there are very interesting forms of storytelling that games are predisposed to and that film is just unable to utilize. And because of this, I often wander over to create projects in media with different affordances. For example, this project, Place des Arts, is an interactive narrative puzzle game that you can play downtown Montreal with your phone. And using the surrounding space and architecture, you have to solve puzzles to figure out the city's real history in the jungle of alternative facts. And here I would use air quotes, but I can't use my hands, they just hang down there. But air quote alternative facts. So this project, among many others, was created in the Technoculture Art and Games Research Center, where I've been working as the creative director for the last 7 years, basically. Next. And this is another cool project that was made there. TAG is Canada's largest and most established games research lab. And it is a place for interdisciplinary collaboration and research, not just in games, but also in cultural and player studies, new media, play and materiality, pop culture, online communities, and even more. And so it was here in TAG where in 2013, Charlotte Fisher and I wanted to make a game for the very first time. But it wasn't that easy at all. Gaming seems, and often is, a very male-dominated and very exclusive club. So we decided to make a space where we would feel comfortable. And so that's how the whole idea for Gamerella came up. Next, please. And Gamerella, the name, by the way, comes from Barbarella, not Cinderella. Basically, our initial focus was including women, but very quickly recognized how important it was to make this event intersectional and accessible for many more. So what is Gamerella? It's basically a game jam, which is usually a 48-hour-long game-making marathon where you make a game from idea to finish. So a game jam and a workshop series where we really cater to women, marginalized people, or really anyone who has never made a game before. And this year will be our 7th Gamerella, not including the ones that happen abroad in satellite locations. We have had Gamerellas organized by other folks in France, in Sweden, in Hungary, and New York as well. So just to put a little bit in context why this was so important to make something like Gamerella, based on statistics by Global Game Jam, which is the world's largest game jam network, in 2014, most of their participants were male in their 20s, and the percentage of women participants was lower than 3% in most cities. 3. The same year, 2014, which was our second year, we had 65% non-cis male participants. And so we have been running now 7 years, and we have been tracking the professional trajectory of everyone who has ever participated. So we have some really amazing data to show the effectiveness of the event as well. So we have over 600 people participated so far. 40% of them made their very first game at the event. And out of these 40, 78% continued on making games and 30% of them now work in the industry. Well, thank you for those cute emojis. I love it. We should have those in real life as well. So we really believe that Gamerella is successful because us organizers really try to listen to the people we aim to serve and try to really address the needs that they identify. And we find that many initiatives fail because even after succeeding in attracting a diverse crowd to a workplace or an event, they often fail to or forget to actually take care of the people within the space. Now, how do we do that? So first step is really always to identify what keeps people away, whether it's the gaming world or anything else, and then try to eliminate those things. So very often the first obstacle that people face when they're coming to games industry is that they think they cannot do anything, they cannot program and so on. So step one is educating and empowering people, and that's why we have a series of workshops. And very often people come in thinking they don't know anything, and then they walk in realizing that actually they do have knowledge and that knowledge is valuable, and that is really key to like recognizing your own knowledge and the value of that knowledge, and then just having the confidence to use that. And we also try to make the event as accessible as possible, both physically, emotionally, technologically as well. So we lend out computers for those who don't have. We cater the event, which seems kind of not that important, but sometimes, someone who eats gluten-free or halal, they cannot attend an event because of these, obstacles. Or if you have a little kid and you can't come to a weekend-long game jam because you just don't have money for a babysitter, we provide childcare. And we also have simple things like general neutral bathrooms or wheelchair-accessible space. In the last couple of years, we also added a prayer room and a quiet room to our space. And we have a staff member whose only job is to focus on helping people with mental health difficulties as well as with conflict de-escalation and conflict management, which is really important in these like limited time stress environment. Another thing we do is we always have keynotes, which might not seem that important, but often can serve as a role model for participants, and they can really finally see someone who looks like them and who they can relate to and aspire to be. And last year, for example, we had Stephanie Harvey, but we have a very long list of really amazing, fantastic women and non-binary people who have came and share their journey with our participants. And often people cry during the keynote, and it's just like a really like heartwarming experience. We also provide mentors and so on. And one thing I'm maybe the most proud of is our team formation technique that I came up with and perfected. And I've never seen this anywhere else, and it really doesn't it doesn't put together people randomly or put people together based on their ideas. It really is a very hybrid process that tries to make teams where everyone's voice is heard and people's personalities are taken into account, as well as what idea they want to work on, what kind of game they want to work on, but as well as where do they want to go and what is their working style and so on. So if you're interested in that or anything else that I've mentioned before, me and my collaborator, Desiree Jesus, we put together actually a manual. So if you can go to the next one, next slide. So we put together a manual that contains all our experience and insight we've gathered over the years, and it contains tons of practical tips about organizing an inclusive event. So I don't recommend it just for game jams. I think it can work for any kind of event or workshop or hackathon or anything like that. It contains budgeting examples, how to find a sponsor, even email templates or schedule examples. The reason we made this is that just like how we want Gamerella to be accessible, we also want this knowledge to be accessible that we, accumulated. And we want other people to create events similar to Gamerella around the world. So it is free, and maybe I'm blocking the QR code, so I'm going to walk a bit over here. Please download it and share it with anyone you know, and use it and send us feedback if you find something cool. And so this year, obviously the event will be online, and so we're going to attach an extra chapter during the winter based on what experience we had running the event online. So maybe that's going to be helpful as well for some people. So yeah, let's check out the video that is the next slide. So maybe that's going to be, we made this video this year. Yeah, so we did this video to kind of get people excited this year, since we're not going to be seeing each other physically. But the good news is now you can participate from anywhere in the world. And so you can, our sign up will open October 12th, and the event will be November 14, 15. But if you go on the website, you will see all of that. So it would be great if as many people join as possible. So please share the information or just join for a really fun weekend of game making and friendship. And that's all. And the next slide is actually how this would have looked like if I was here physically. Thank you so much.
Very, very cool. Thank you so much, Gina. And thank you also for all the important work that you're doing. It's really, really great to hear what you're doing, and that you're doing this, and that you even keep on doing it in virtual, in trying to, or going to take it virtual. And I was definitely thinking about joining. Let's see if I'm back in Montreal by then. But I think a lot of people from our community would definitely like to join that. Are there any questions for Gina right now?
I have a question.
There's a question. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, I have a question for
you go ahead.
All of the three ladies. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Excellent. So, first of all, it is awesome. I really, really love what you present today, because you are teaching class in this space. So very, very nice to see. I want to ask you as an inspiration from the young generations that enter in the space, especially women, right? What would you have appreciated to know, and that would have helped you advance better in this space? So what would be the one advice or one thing that you would say, if I would have known this, things would be easier for me?
Should I start answering, or?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah.
I think, I'm speaking generally for online spaces, not necessarily for this one particular, but I think that was your question, I think. I would suggest that, or I would advise that the loud bullies are usually the very minority, and that you're not alone, and if you have the privilege to step up and support other people, then do that. But if not, then know that there are other people out there who can support you as well, and be your ally and be your friend.
Thank you. Ahn, you want to give it a shot?
Yeah, it's a very tough question. Thank you for this question.
Yeah.
It's a rather hard question. I think on many levels, like it's, gaming world, like I think to be prepared for, yeah, that's the thing. Like I think to be prepared for Steam, like what happens after you release your game or your film or whatever to the masses? Because as we know, there are a lot of trolls online, and that you're just like prepared that there's going to be negativity, but there's also going to be a community that supports you. Like it goes actually to the same direction as Gina already mentioned. But yeah, just like be prepared that toxic, like some toxic behavior is you shouldn't take it to heart. That's it.
Yeah, I can second that. Make friends and don't take online worlds too serious and too personal. Okay, we have another question over here. Can you talk?
Yeah. How old
Okay.
do you have to be?
For the game jam?
For the game jam?
Yeah, for the game.
Yeah. Yeah, no age limit. If you got into this space and you're managing all the buttons, then yeah, you're definitely eligible.
All right. Sweet.
So we'll be sharing the, did you get the QR code? Okay, we'll be sharing the QR code so like people can join your game jam.
Yeah, the QR code is for the manual, but if you just Google Gamerella Game Jam, you'll find it. We are unique.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the guide. Yeah. All right. So if there are not any more immediate questions right now, I would say we could just mingle and hang out together. Now the slides don't want to move anymore at all.
Thank you. Thank you for the talks.
Yes, I think as we started a little bit late, we like time is over actually, but we can still, whoever has time and wants to stay with us here and chat a little bit with our amazing speakers can just stay and we can have a little chit chat.